Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Real Big Ten Football Talk +1 with Chris. Welcome to Week 11 of the 2018 college football season. This is the time of year where the football season really does make you happy and excited to be a college football fan. This is the nitty-gritty of the season. We just saw Alabama and LSU last weekend, and we saw some very good games in the Big Ten last weekend as well. And this week also has an exciting amount of games in the Big Ten Conference as well as across the country. It is November. This is when the big games start to happen. This is when we really start to figure out who is going to be in the big dance at the end of the year. So without further ado, let's jump right into this matchup. And this week, I've decided to have the main course right from the get-go. That's right, this is the number 10 Ohio State Buckeyes, 8-1 overall, 5-1 in Big Ten, in East Lansing to face the number 18 ranked Michigan State Spartans, sitting at 6-3, 4-2 in Big Ten play. This is an interesting matchup. These two teams, are dominant in two aspects of the game, and very weak in two aspects of the game as well. Those aspects being Ohio State is thoroughly dominant offensively speaking statistically, and Michigan State is an incredibly aggressive, demoralizing, crushing defense. But Ohio State struggles, to say the least. We'll see in a little bit how bad they struggle defensively. And Michigan State cannot score the ball to save their rear ends. This, like I said, is an interesting matchup. You have an offensive juggernaut in the Buckeyes facing a defensive juggernaut in the Spartans. Who's going to win? Well, let's look back at history a little bit. I'm not going to make my pick based on this, but let's be honest. There's been two teams that have won the championship with great defenses in our history. Both were in the NFL. You go back to the 85 Bears. I don't care what anybody says. McMahon was a good quarterback, but the Bears did win with defense. Then you go back in, I think it was 2000. The Ravens. Trent Dilfer was a good quarterback, but the Ravens did win with their defense. The Bears, back in 2006, got to the Super Bowl with their defense. College football doesn't happen very often. In fact, I can't think of one in my lifetime that has happened in college football. Teams need some offense. Now, you had the Hurricanes back in the 80s. They did win with good defenses, but they had good offenses as well. Had Michael Irvins of the world. You had Bernie Kosar throwing for him. The Hurricanes had some offense. Michigan State didn't have much offense, but they have a great defense. But that can help them when they're playing not great offenses. But when they're playing good offenses, like against Michigan, they struggle. And on the flip side, Ohio State, great offense. When they play against a decent defense like Purdue, they realize how one-sided their team is. So you have a game with two teams that struggle in key factors. So without further ado, let's look at who they played. Ohio State, I'm sorry for the slight offsetting there in the TCU game for Ohio State. But looking at who Ohio State has played, looking at who Michigan State has played, Ohio State did, as I've said before, good win against Oregon State, but you did give up 31 points to a team that's won, I believe, 2 games this year. You scored 77, that's great, but you gave up 31 points. Rutgers, the week after, great win. Again, not a good team, but it's a conference opponent. I can't give you a red or a yellow for that because you can't control who you play. But you only give up 3 points to a conference opponent. That's impressive, and you scored 52. TCU, I'll still say a good win because they're ranked 15th at the time. But in my opinion, arguably, TCU has not recovered since the second half of that game. They've struggled ever since. Tulane, another good win. Tulane's not a bad team. I believe they are a 6-win team. Granted, they are in the Conference USA, I believe. Not a dominant conference. Not a dominant team, but a decent team. And Ohio State held them to 6 points. Not bad. But then Penn State, that Penn State team has struggled since they played Ohio State. Ohio State did win 27-26 in a very exciting game that I enjoyed watching. And then Indiana, Ohio State scored 49. That's good. Give up 26. Not great. Against Minnesota, decent defense. Ohio State struggled. They scored 30. They only gave up 14, but Minnesota didn't have a good offense. Ohio State gave up 14, only scored 30. And then, that next game, Purdue. Purdue revealed Ohio State's weaknesses on defense. And Ohio State's offense played a pretty good defense in Purdue. Got blown out. Against Nebraska. Nebraska, they should have been able to wipe the floor with Nebraska. No offense, Husker fans. Let's be honest, you've only got 2 wins this year. I think you probably thought this would be a much different result. Husker fan, or Huskers, good on you. You gave Ohio State a scare. Ohio State still give up 31 points. And we'll look in a minute how significant, how close of a win that was for Ohio State. And how they easily could have lost that game. Looking at Michigan State. Utah State, again. Aggies aren't a bad team. They are, I believe, also 8-1 this year. So, not bad. But Michigan State, you only scored 38 points against a team that I doubt has a great defense. I haven't looked at Utah State's stats, but I doubt they have a great defense. Most Mountain West teams that I've noticed have a pretty good, high-octane type of offense, but not great defense. Michigan State only scored 38. Now, it's the most points you've scored this year. The next game, you lost 16-13 to an impressive Arizona State team. That was a game of both teams just couldn't get anything going on offense. Michigan State could have won the game, could have lost the game. They lost the game by 3. Good, well-fought game, but a bad loss. Then you went to Bloomington to face Indiana. Give up 21 points to not a great offense. You scored 35. That's impressive. Central Michigan, a 3-something MAC school. Again, not a great dominant victory for Michigan State. Then you lost to Northwestern the next week. Not saying it's a bad loss. I mean, shoot, Northwestern is where it stands right now. The season ended today. Northwestern would be the Big Ten West participant in the Big Ten Championship. It's not a bad loss, but Michigan State could have done better in that game. They had some chances and blew them. And then they brought it all together facing the Nittany Lions in Happy Valley and did beat them 21-17. Good win. That Michigan game, why have I highlighted it? Why have I drawn emphasis to the Michigan game? Some games are not, or at least some paths in your season aren't always taken just by the stats. That game, before that game started, with the whole fiasco during the pregame, I think made Michigan State have some fire. I think that it rekindled that fire in their bellies. Why did they lose 21-7 to Michigan if they gained so much confidence, you might ask? Answer being, Michigan has just a dominant team. They have a great defense and a good running offense. Michigan State does struggle, haven't really faced a team that dominant on the ground outside of Penn State. So statistically, Michigan State's got a great running defense. But that was the first dominant running offense they played. And Michigan's also good on defense as well. Michigan State's bad on offense. But those two things together doesn't bode well for Michigan State, and it showed. But they played with fire and passion. They held that Michigan team to only 21 points. They could have won that game. They could have played better, more offense. Then what they do the game after that? Beat the Purdue team who had beaten that Ohio State team the week before that. And they beat Purdue in East Lansing, 23-13. I don't care if they're playing them on the moon. Good win for Michigan State. That's why I think that Michigan game kind of has given Michigan State a lot of confidence, and I think it's shown. And at Maryland, 24-3. Maryland's not a great team on either side of the ball. They're okay. Not great, but you hold a conference opponent, a 5-4 team now in Maryland, to 3 points. We'll look at that game, that win more closely in a minute. because I do have that as Michigan State's recent marquee win. Now let's move on. How have they done the last 5 matchups? These teams are so much different. So I'm not using this to say how the game might look. I'm showing you these just to show how evenly matched these teams have been in the last 5 meetings, last 5 years. You look at last year, Ohio State did dominate Michigan State 42-3, which was a head-scratcher for me. 2016, Michigan State was a bad team that year. They had so many scandals that offseason. I believe they went 3-9 or 4-8 that year. But they played Ohio State tough. Only lost 17-16 to the number 2 ranked team in the country in Ohio State in 2016. 2015, Michigan State did upset Ohio State in Columbus on that last-second field goal on a very chilly, rainy night. I watched that game. Very competitive game. 2014, Ohio State beat Michigan State in East Lansing by 12 points. And then 2013, Michigan State ended up beating Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship 34-24. That was a shock to everybody watching. I expected Ohio State to win that game and go to the BCS National Championship, because it still was BCS in 2013. A good game, like you see. This series has been pretty evenly matched the last 5 years. Ohio State, of course, is 3-2 against the Spartans the last 5. But looking at Ohio State's recent marquee win, not a great win, but I wanted to show it because it's important. Why do I have the good stats for Nebraska in red? Because it shows how bad Ohio State's defense was. They gave up 27 first downs to a very reeling, struggling, down in the dumps Nebraska team. They did only hold Nebraska 20.5% on third down. That's good. They gave up 184 yards on the ground, 266 through the air. Didn't get a pick and gave up 1 touchdown pass. 450 yards that Ohio State team gave up to that Nebraska team. And Nebraska only commanded 5 penalties for 44 yards. 1 turnover. Ohio State did force 1 turnover. But Ohio State's defense was on the field 33 minutes and 33 seconds. That's not good, especially when you're playing a comparatively inferior opponent that Nebraska is. Again, no offense, Husker fans, it's just the truth. You are 2-6. This is not a good year for you. Ohio State, you did gain 23 first downs on offense. But third downs yourself here aren't great. 3 of 9 is 33.3%. You did get 229 yards on the ground. That is impressive, considering you have not done well statistically on the ground since entering Big Ten play. 252 passing yards, not bad. But 18 of 32 passing, you really want to make that a little bit more accurate if you're Dwayne Haskins. 2 passing touchdowns to 1 pick thrown. Again, facing a 2-6 team, you need to be more dominant than that. 481 total yards. Why did Ohio State almost lose this game, you may ask? Well, they had 6 penalties for 46 yards. That did not help them. But they had 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 turnovers. That could have cost them the game. That's why Nebraska was in it until the very end. Time of possession, Ohio State was only on the field for 26 minutes and 27 seconds. Not good when your offense is dominant. You need to have that offense on the field and keep that opposing offense off of it. And let your defense have rest when they can get it. Not a good win for Ohio State, but a win nonetheless. I guess a Nebraska team that does have some more confidence. To be honest there. But regardless, Ohio State is number 10 in the country. 7-1, 4-1 in Big Ten play. Nebraska was 2-6, 1-5 in Big Ten play. Ohio State should have dominated that team. They did not. That's cause for concern in my opinion. Looking at Michigan State. That Maryland game again. So dominant Michigan State was on defense. Look at Maryland stats. 9 first downs Michigan State held that Maryland team. 20% on third downs. 3 of 15. 26 rushing yards. 74 through the pass. They held that Maryland team to 8 of 24 passing for 100 yards of offense. Maryland only had 3 penalties, so Maryland came and blamed the penalties. Turned the ball over twice. Maryland's offense was only on the field 23 minutes and 4 seconds. Michigan State needed to do better on offense. 19 first downs, not bad, not great. But you only converted 35.7% on third down. That's raises some eyebrows, in my opinion. 269 yards on the ground, Michigan State. Excellent. Only 87 through the air, but let's be honest. If I'm getting 269 yards on the ground, I don't need to pass very much. Especially when I had the ball for 36 minutes and 56 seconds. It's impressive. But no passing touchdowns for Brian Lewerke. 1 pick thrown. I'm sorry, it wasn't Lewerke. It was the backup. My mistake. Or was it? I'm sorry. It's been a long week. Either way, Michigan State's quarterback threw 0 passing touchdowns and 1 pick. 356 yards of total offense against an inferior Maryland defense. No offense, Terp fans. 4 penalties Michigan State had for 33 yards. Not horrible, but need to be careful. And 2 turnovers. Michigan State, you have to watch the turnovers against a good Ohio State or a decent Ohio State team when it comes to sacking the quarterback. And Ohio State can force some turnovers here and there. Looking at the team rushing splits, Ohio State, pretty lousy on all sides. Not great, but not horrible, but not great. 178.1 yards per game on the ground. Not great for Ohio State, 55th nationally. 153.4 yards allowed on the ground. Again, pretty bad, 56th nationally. Michigan State, horrible yardage on the ground. 125.6 per game on average. That is 111th nationally. But on the flip side of that, Michigan State, you're only giving up 71.7 yards on the ground per game. That's after playing Michigan. That's first nationally. Quite impressive. Looking at passing, Ohio State has been dominant through the air. In fact, and I was just talking to somebody about this earlier this evening. Really, Ohio State has really lived through the air. They've been living on the arm of Dwayne Haskins, and he's done well. But he struggled against Purdue, and it showed. But anyway, 70.7% completion percentage. That is second nationally. Quite impressive on accuracy for Ohio State. 369.1 yards per game through the air. That's third nationally. Sacks allowed, 13. It's a little bit of a question mark, but not horrible. You're just giving up just over 1 sack per game. It's not bad. You're definitely giving yourself a chance to win when you're not letting the quarterback get put on his rear end very often. That is 30th nationally. Not bad. Passes had intercepted 6. Not horrible considering how many times Ohio State does to pass the football. Michigan State, quite horrible again on passing as well. 55.9% completion percentage. That's horrible. That is 98th nationally. Passing per game, not horrible, but not great. At 234.8 yards per game, that is 64th nationally. Kind of in the middle of the pack. Sacks allowed, 20. Not bad, but that is just over. That is exactly 2 per game as we are in week 11. That's 67th nationally. And you have thrown 9 picks. Again, you're not very accurate throwing the ball. You don't pass for very many yards comparatively. You give up a few too many sacks, and you throw 9 picks. Your passing offense doesn't give you much confidence, Michigan State. Passing defense, Ohio State, not bad completion percentage allowed. In fact, excellent at 55.52% allowed per game. That is 24th nationally. Sacks, 27. That is 16th nationally. That's almost 3 sacks you're averaging per game, Ohio State. Pretty good, but then after that, it kind of goes downhill. Real quick, you've gotten 6 interceptions a game. That is 79th nationally, Buckeyes. You give up on average 243.9 yards per game through the air. That is 85th nationally. Again, quite bad, Ohio State. Michigan State, you do give up too much accuracy through the air at 60.57% completion percentage allowed. That is 73rd nationally. Not good, Michigan State. Team sacks, you have 22. That is 41st nationally. You need to hit the quarterback more often to force those incompletions and force those bad throws. You've done well at 12 interceptions a game this year. It's averaging almost or more than 1 per game. That is 14th nationally. But if you hit the quarterback more, You have the possibility to get more interceptions. You have to hit the quarterback more than that. Especially against Dwayne Haskins, you have to hit him. We'll talk about that later. Passing yards allowed, 253.4 yards per game. That is 98th nationally, Michigan State. Looking at overall offensive efficiency for Ohio State and Michigan State, not bad at over half the game you do average as far as time of possession. 33 minutes for Michigan State, 31 for Ohio State. Total offense quite dominant for Ohio State, 547.2 yards per game. That is 5th nationally. Michigan State, that is horrible at 360.3 yards per game. That is 105th nationally. You could have gotten at least one more win, I think, if you could have gotten that up a little bit. I'm thinking of the Arizona State game, of course. Third down efficiency, 48.1%. That is 12th nationally for Ohio State. Quite excellent. Michigan State, you need to convert on third downs. You need to extend drives. You're converting on 32.3% of your third down attempts, Michigan State. It's 125th nationally. Not good, we'll just say that. Ohio State, turnover margin, +4. That is excellent at 27th ranked nationally. Michigan State, +3. Not bad at 41st ranked nationally. Anytime you can be above 1, that is good in my book. At least you're doing something right. You are forcing more turnovers than you're losing. It's never a bad thing. Red zone offensive efficiency, not stellar for either team, except Ohio State does get inside the 20 quite often at 4.6 attempts per game. That is 16th nationally. Pretty good. Michigan State, you really need to get in the red zone more often and give yourselves a chance at some points. You only average 3.6 red zone scoring attempts per game. That is 63rd nationally. Ohio State need to score 6 points more often inside the 20. You are at 60.9% red zone touchdown percentage. Red zone scoring percentage. What red zone scoring percentage for either team? Ohio State sitting at 75.6%. That is 116th ranked nationally. Michigan State, same thing, 87.5%. That is 36th nationally. Not awful, but not great. You really want that number to be around 90, especially when you have that many attempts for both teams, really. Looking at the total defensive efficiency, quite excellent for Michigan State and quite mediocre to bad for Ohio State. Looking at Ohio State first, total turnovers gained, 14. That is 54th nationally. Not horrible, not great. You want to force more turnovers as you get further down in the season, especially when you get to the Michigan game at the end of the year. Total defense, quite horrible at 397.3 yards per game. That is 69th nationally, Ohio State. And you wonder why you lost to Purdue. Third down percentage allowed per game. You're allowing 32.3% on third down conversions. That's excellent. The only bright spot in your defense, in my opinion, for Ohio State. That is 17th nationally. Michigan State, all green. That's not because you have green in your school colors. You're at total turnovers gained 17 so far this year. That is 23rd nationally. Total defense, total dominance, 325.1 yards per game given up on average. That is 22nd ranked nationally, Michigan State. And on third down, when you're on defense, you're only allowing 31.8% conversion rate. That is 13th nationally. Both teams excellent when their defenses are facing the offense's third down. Quite dominant. Offensive scoring, again, Ohio State quite dominant on offense. Michigan State quite horrible on offense. Ohio State, you're scoring 42.2 points per game on average. That's dominant at 7th nationally. First quarter scoring per game, Ohio State, you come out red hot and you stay that way at 11 points scored per game in the first quarter. That is 9th nationally. And the fourth quarter, same thing. You're scoring 11 points in the fourth when it really matters the most. And that is 9th nationally. Michigan State, you're only scoring 23.4 points per game. That is 99th nationally. First quarter points, you are only scoring 4.3 points. That is 97th nationally. In the big money quarter, the fourth quarter, you're still only scoring 4.3 points. I checked the stats. I made sure it was not duplicate. That these two teams really do score the same amount of points in the first as they do in the fourth on average. That is kind of an interesting stat, I thought. Fourth quarter scoring per game rank, it is set 117th for Michigan State. Gotta do better in the fourth, guys. Defensive scoring efficiency splits, all caution for Ohio State. Total scoring allowed per game, 23.8. That is 36th ranked nationally. Not great, not bad for Ohio State. First quarter scoring allowed per game, you are allowing on average 4.6 points. That is 36th nationally. Fourth quarter at 5.7 points per game on average given up. That is 37th nationally. Not bad, not great. Michigan State, you're dominant in average on overall in the game at 19 points allowed. That is 14th nationally. First quarter quite dominant and only giving up 3 points on average. That is 14th, but fourth quarter is where you struggle. Fourth quarter is where you've given teams chances, like Arizona State, for example, and Northwestern. You give up far too many points in the fourth quarter, Michigan State, and that has come back to bite you. You're getting on average 7.6 points per game in the fourth. That is 86th ranked nationally. Neat little tidbits. Teams have played each other did play each other for the first time in 1912, prior to World War I for any history buffs out there. Michigan State did win that matchup 35-20. This game is considered a rivalry game, but no title or trophy for it. In my opinion, I think it's more of a newer age rivalry. I don't think these two teams were always considered a rivalry, but please let me know if I'm wrong about that. But I don't remember them being a rivalry back in the 90s and the 80s. I think it's more of a, 2010 type of new age rivalry, I think. Ohio State does hold the advantage in the series at 31-15-0. Both teams have played each other each year since 2011. Michigan State's all-time win-loss record, tie record rather, is 700, 456 losses and 44 ties. Ohio State's all-time win-loss tie record is 906 and 325 and 53. Both teams have done well historically. Last time neither team was ranked in this game was in 2011. And Michigan State won that game 10-7. I know it's not pertinent here because they're both ranked, but these two teams have been dominant so often when they play each other. It's just interesting to look back and see when the last time it was that neither team was real great. Keys to the game for both teams. Ohio State, what do you need to do? You need to develop a running game. You need to lean more on Dobbins and Weber. Stop relying on Haskins as much. You have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. You have to stop Michigan State's running attack and establish one of your own. You have to utilize a balanced attack through the air and ground, like I just said. You want to utilize both Haskins and Dobbins and Weber. You can't just rely on Haskins to throw the ball 73 times and expect to win a game. Hint, hint, it didn't work against Purdue. Attack number 18, Michigan State's weak secondary with a healthy dose of intermediate to long-range passes and shut down Michigan State on third down. You have to score 6 points in the red zone. Don't settle for field goals. Don't settle for nothing. Get points inside the 20, Ohio State. Limit penalties. They kill drives and they allow others to continue. Again, we go back to the Purdue game. I'm sorry, not Penn State. Oh, the Penn State game you could have lost because of penalties. You hold on to the ball. No turnovers, Ohio State. You had 3 against Nebraska last weekend. You could have lost to Nebraska just based on the 3 turnovers. Gotta clean it up. Michigan State, score some points. You've scored close to nothing. You need to score points if you want to beat a dominant offense in Ohio State. You have to develop a balanced offensive attack. You must establish a running game against a mediocre running defense. You did well against Maryland running the ball. You got to do the same against Ohio State to expect to get any sort of breakaway with this Ohio State offense. And Ohio State is vulnerable against the pass, so Lewerke, you do need to put some passes through the air and get them completed. Because your completion percentage isn't great. But you have to do that to be able to beat Ohio State. Ask David Blau for Purdue. He did pretty well. you have to be able to also pass the ball. You have to shut down Ohio State in the fourth quarter. Finish this team off if you have the lead going into the fourth. Shut the door, Michigan State. You can't leave it open and allow this team to come back. They can and they will. They have. Ask Penn State. Ask Nebraska. The Ohio State team may seem like they're not dominant, they're not as hungry. When they're down, they get hungry, they get angry, and they come back if you give them a chance. You shut the door in the fourth quarter. Use the momentum of being at home. You are in East Lansing, Michigan State. May not be a nighttime game, but you are in your home. You feel comfortable. You gave Michigan everything they could ask for the last time you played a ranked team in your house. Remember that feeling and use it, channel it, and use that momentum in your place against Ohio State. Who to pick? I've been on the fences for this game most of the week. I mean, who do you pick? The best defense or the best offense? Well, fifth best offense statistically for Ohio State. Do I pick defense or do I pick offense? It's tough to call. And you also have to look at the directions these two teams have taken this year. It's difficult. Difficult, but I am going to pick the better offense against the better defense. I don't think Michigan State can score enough points. I just don't think their offense is good enough. I think Ohio State's offense will be good enough. I think their defense will be good enough against a vastly inferior offense in Michigan State. Michigan State will keep it close. It'll be interesting. It may not even be this low scoring. It may be say a 28-25 or something score. Although I don't know if Michigan State can score that many points against anyone that's not Maryland or Utah State or a few of the other teams that they've scored more than 30 points against. Or 20 points against. But I am picking Ohio State because I do believe they'll somehow find a way to win. I think Ohio State will clean up the penalties. I think last week's game against Nebraska scared them. They it scared them enough to scare focus back in their minds. They need to remember, still not out of the playoff. You lost one. You needed that loss, Ohio State, to get that confidence back. To realize that you can't just win every game with just superior offense and lackluster defense. It didn't work against Purdue. It won't work against Michigan State if you don't play some defense. Now I know Michigan State's offense is not good. I've been saying that the whole show. But your defense isn't very good either. Your defense has to step up and stop Michigan State when it counts. And your offense has to move the ball against that vastly superior defense. I think Ohio State will do it. I do pick them 21-18, +3, however you want to look at it. I'm not a big spread guy, but I do think Ohio State will win by 3 or less. I do not believe the score is going to be determined by more than 3. I don't know what the spread is, but you'd be probably better off betting on Ohio State to not cover the spread, whatever it is. I believe it will be 3 or less. That's it for this episode. Look out for more this week. I am off this weekend, so I will be able to post more videos. I apologize for only one last week. I know probably wanted to see more from me. I had to work a lot of hours. I apologize. I was just so daggone tired. I could not record until Saturday, and that's when I posted that one. So, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends if you like my content. I do appreciate the views. Thank you. I do appreciate it. If you didn't like the video for whatever reason, please hit that thumbs down. I implore you to hit the thumbs down. But please, if you do that, let me know why in the comments. I want to know why so I can improve your viewing experience. Again, thank you for stopping by. Enjoy the games this weekend. I think there's going to be some good ones, especially this one. And until next time, guys.